Hello guys, the DB Grinder here, back at it again with another video, and this time we have my SwordSoul deck profile. This is going to be part 1 of a 4-part series, and this is going to be just a tiny miniature series. I'm going to upload 1 part every day for the next 4 days, and it is going to be SwordSoul stuff. So SwordSoul, things to remember about SwordSoul, combos, where to hand trap the deck, and also in the combos I'm going to be talking about how to beat token collectors, so that'll probably end up being a little bit longer of a video, but I'm going to be going over a whole bunch of things about SwordSoul, so let's just hop right into the deck profile. I decided this would be a pretty good place to start the series. So this is going to be a pure build with the hero stuff in it. I know there's also the Tenyi build. That build is also pretty good. I'd highly suggest playing this build and testing that build. And a lot about this deck could end up changing depending on how the format shapes. I know I keep saying that a lot, but that really is how these deck profiles are going to be, since the format isn't really shaped yet, and then also post-boat a lot is going to change. So you could very well see every card from like right here, like cross out and all of these. You could see all of these cards change very easily. But I guess we'll just go ahead and hop into the starters. So for the SwordSoul starters, we have 3 Appears, 3 Moyi, 3 Ecclesia. These cards are all like 1.5 card combos. Well, this card by itself is a 1 card combo because you can search this and then go ahead and synchro 8. But you can like go search Moyi and then reveal something random. So these are like 9 starters right there, and then you have 3 Prosperity, and you get to banish 6 in this build. So usually you get to see like a starter card off of this, or you get to see something good as you're digging for 6. And then the other starter of the deck is Fusion Destiny. I have this like a little bit off to the right compared to these because these help get you to like your main engine starters, and then this is kind of just like a little bit extra. It's not even bad to start off with like just Fusion Destiny though, because if you start off with this, then usually you don't have a lot of engine cards, and you'll have like a lot of other cards alongside of your Enforcer, and the next turn you get the draw, and it's just really difficult to end up beating. If you played post-boat, you know what I'm talking about. And then I played 2 Taiyi, 3 Long Young, and 1 Bushuda. So going over these, Long Young could end up being cut down to 2. I've seen other people do it, and I have considered it myself, but in this build, there's already like I don't want to say not a lot of engine, but there's a lot of room for like hand traps and going second cards, that the problem a lot of the time becomes like, what are you actually doing on your turn 1? Like even if you open up like Appears, then you're going to need a discard if you want a Long Young, and you don't always want to do that turn 1 because that plays in the nib. But it also depends like what game it is. If it's game 1, then you can just like freely play, because like this card isn't like too popular in the main deck right now. But I think this card at 3 is okay, and also just like turn 1 Long Young, summon out Floor, and then having like 2 hand traps alongside of it, or like 2 defensive cards, or like Long Young, Fusion Destiny. Honestly, that's enough to beat a lot of people. Like a negate pop and then like a hand trap, like that's not bad. And then also the heroes are going to get you follow up. The Floor can get you follow up depending on what you have in graveyard. Like if you discard a Taiyi, then you can summon this back and then start playing with your synchros through that. And then the 1 Bushuda, playing 1 of this because you want to have access. I wanted to have another worm in the deck, and I was playing 3 Taiyi, but you really don't need 3 Taiyi. I think that you need 2 Taiyi though. I don't like playing 1. I've seen people play 1 of it in like the pure hero version, and I think the second one comes up way too much. So I wanted to play 2 of this, but I did want to play another worm. So I played Bushuda because this is also nice going second, and then you can dump it off Taiyi effect when you synchro with this. So I thought that was pretty good. And then also like helps you beat token collector in most scenarios. And then 2 Taiyi, I kind of just explained it there. I think 3's too much, 1's too little, 2's just right. And then you play the bricks, standard for the Fusion Destiny stuff. And then 2 Sudden Shift. I've also seen people cut down to playing 1 of this, and I've also seen people play 3 of this. I don't like 3, especially because like we're not playing Desires, so I really don't think 3 of this is like ever right. Even if you're playing Desires, I don't think 3 Sudden Shift is right. And then One, I don't think is enough. I really like being able to go ahead and like tie synchro into this, and then effect Ghost Search Trap and tie Dump Trap, and then your synchro can banish trap to negate something, sudden shift, summon a token, and then get a free pop through that. It can help you a lot against the decks that just having like a monster negate is solid against. And you would actually be amazed how many decks like just one monster negate is solid against. Like Tri-Brigade against this card, they're just shivering when you summon it. They're like, oh no, like what am I gonna do? Like this card's crazy, and it's it's honestly like a pretty good card. Like the search is obviously amazing part of it, but like the negate part, very solid. And then also why I'm playing Prosperity over Desires, I like having this card to go ahead and look at 6, and then also like Desires messes with the hero stuff. But I like having this card to be able to go look at 6 cards instead of 2 cards off of the Desires. I know that if you Desires, you can still Yi draw, and then you get like extra cards to hand. But I have found Prosperity to just be better in this build of the deck. In the 10U build, 100% I'm playing Desires over Prosperity. 100%. No doubt in my mind. If you want to see my 10U build, maybe I can show that build off in a little while. But I am working on that with other people, so I'd have to like, ask and see if it's okay. And I know they are planning on, well, not planning on, they might end up playing it in future tournaments. Like the PAC LCS tournament. That's going to be a cool tournament. I definitely want to, I want that tournament to come sooner than later. I know that they're changing the date on it, but when that tournament happens, I'll definitely be uploading some replays from it and maybe get some interviews from it too. Then next we have 3 Crossout. This is something like I said, all of this could change depending on how the format shapes, but Crossout is pretty good in this deck. This deck can be hindered by hand traps, and right now it seems like a lot of people are playing hand traps. There seems to be like a shift that's happening right now post-Bode to where people are starting to play stuff like Droplets and Dark Ruler in the main deck, as long as they're playing like combo decks, which personally I think is good. Like I'm doing that in my combo decks too. I think those cards are very solid, and depending on like how stuff goes, you might end up playing like 1 Dark Ruler, potentially 1 Droplet in the main deck. You can't always cross out Droplet because like if they get rid of a spell, then like you just add a luck. You can't chain cross out. But if Dark Ruler becomes like a lot more popular in main decks, then I'll definitely be main decking a Dark Ruler alongside of this. But this card is really like format dependent. Like if there's a lot of hand traps, then you can play Crossout and help beat those hand traps. Now, we have Talons, and then I'll be going on to the hand traps. I play 1 Talons because this card is like, it's good going first, it's good going second. And then also I wanted Talons for Crossout, because if I don't get hand trapped, I want to be able to cross out Talons, because you have no idea how many times cross-outing Talons was coming up, and I was like, I have to play 1 of this card. My boards are being broken because of Talons way too much, so had to put this card in. Had to put Talons in for the cross-out, and I think it's a pretty good card. Like even just like in general by itself, without the cross-out, if I just draw this card, it's not like I'm mad that I drew it. It's not strictly a cross-out target. And then going on to also I feel like I should move Talents up here and then have like the 3 hand traps. I'm gonna move that after this, but going on to the 3 Moonlit Chill. So this card is good for a few reasons. 1, it dodges opponents' crossouts, because there's no way the opponent is playing this card in their deck. No way. I just refuse to believe anybody is playing Moonlit in their deck other than me right now. This card also helps beat Token Collector game 2 and 3, which can be a big problem if you don't play so many outs for it, like this list does. This list plays way too many outs for it. I'll talk about that in the combo video coming up in I think a day or 2. Make sure to stay tuned for that. And then also it's just like a hand trap itself. Like you can go ahead and just like negate something. It's like a decent hand trap. I'd say in general this card on like DB non-tournament play is worse than Valor. In real life, with time, this card becomes a lot better because it does burn damage, and like a hand trap that does burn damage is insane. It actually just becomes gnome material that also negates. Like, this card is insane in real life play. And then, especially if you play versus like a grindy matchup, you know, game 3 you see this card and it's like, wow, you're insane, boom. And you also have like Scarlet or Scarlight for time, which is also very good. Shout out Shuping. And then we have Nib and Droll. I wanted more targets for crossout. Droll doesn't always hurt this deck, but it definitely can. Like, there's hands where you'll start off with like Prosperity, and then you get hit with Droll, and it's like, wow, I could really use my crossout to hit Droll right here to be able to do like actual plays, especially against like the combo decks. And then I think this card is going to be pretty decent in the format, especially if there's like more combo running around. But it also depends like what combo decks are running around too, if this card is good or not. And then 1 Nib to cross out target while also just being a hand trap. And then 2 Ash, 2 Imperm, 2 Veiler. You could switch this around and you could play like 3 Ash Blossom in the deck and then like cut one of these down, which if this card becomes like super popular, then that'll happen, so that way I can Ash Fusion Destiny more often. And then yeah, these are just like hand traps, you know, pretty like standard stuff. Imperm's like very good, especially with Prosperity, because you can Prosperity into it and then just activate it to like trade with a negate on your turn. And then going on to the side deck, we have the other 2 Talons and Order. You side these and going first alongside with the token collectors, so that way you can cross them out. And then Droplet, this is just the last card in the side deck. That was a going second card. You can also play Dark Ruler over this. I kind of like Dark Ruler over it, but I also have been like siding this in sometimes just to see if I can cross out it. This honestly is in the side deck more for like, you can theorize cross out hitting this, and I've been trying to like put it into actual playing and like actual testing. Theorizing is always good, but also like actually playing and seeing like what scenarios come up is also very good to do. So this would be Dark Ruler, but I've been testing this out and trying to like cross out hit Droplet, just because I found this card to be more popular than Dark Ruler right now. But that shift is kind of changing. I want to say like Dark Ruler is starting to become a little bit, I'd say it's like a 60-40 right now, with Droplet being more popular post-Bode. I've done a lot of post-Bode testing, like a ridiculous amount. So this should probably just be Dark Ruler, but I have it as Droplet just for testing with this. And then Droll, this is just more stuff for like combo matchups like Dragons and Drytron and stuff like that. Stuff that's like big combo decks. I didn't want Cycle Reader because I wanted stuff that works versus multiple combo decks, not just one. And the 1 token collector, that's just for cross out. Honestly, in the mirror match, I don't think you really need to play like 3 of this. I don't think the mirror match is the matchup you're really like scared of. And then like I'm also playing so many like hand traps and stuff. You can put the Gammas in, the Talents, the Droplet. You have so many cards that you can put in against the mirror match. I don't think you need token collector. And then Gamma, I don't main deck this package because I think if you main deck this package going first, you'll end up having like Gamma in your hand and you'll Fusion Destiny, and then this card will just sit in your hand for the rest of the game because you're stuck with it in hand. You can't do anything with it. And because of that, you won't be able to ever Celestial draw. But going second, I put Gamma in because if I open Gamma and I open Fusion Destiny, right, then the opponent is going to activate a monster effect when they go first and I'm going second. If they don't activate a monster effect, I'll take that. That means they just passed turn 1 and they weren't playing. So then like they're just not doing anything. So then I can just go ahead and like Fusion Destiny them. And if they like Ash Blossom this, then you can just Gamma. So like, you know, you're kind of getting your Fusion Destiny to resolve. But that's why this isn't in the main deck and it's in the side deck. It's just because it messes with Celestial a lot. And then 3 Storm, 1 Harpies, 1 Twin for back row decks. And then, yeah, like that's not like too crazy. This could also be Red Reboot, depending on like what traps become popular. But I've been liking Twin over Reboot. And then going on to the extra deck, I have it organized. I have the Synchro 7 Yazi. I've also seen people playing Shooting Riser Dragon. I don't think that's good because you're pretty much just doing that to send token collector. It's like the main reason you play it. And again, I just don't think the mirror match is like a problem at all. And if you get that far to where you can like synchro 7, a lot of the time you have a lot of other plays that you can do that are also very solid. But yeah, one Yazi. Honestly, the card doesn't even come up that much. It comes up more along the lines like less with a Pierce changing level and more like you get hand trap turn 1 and then you normal summon a hand trap turn 2 to make Yazi. And then one Monk for the Vishuda. And then one Baxt. Yeah, I see people playing 2 of this. I really don't think you need 2 of this. Crazy enough, it has never came up at 2. Never. Not in this build. Not a single time has this card came up at 2 in the hero build for me. Blader. This card's very unique versus a lot of matchups. Like, it can be insane versus a lot of matchups. Like, even like the mirror match, you can like Blader, Shadal matchup. Literally, if you just Blader your opponent's next turn is like not that threatening. Like, it's just not going to be that threatening. And then there's also just like a lot of random matches that this can come up against too. But then next card, we have the Draco Berserker. This card is a worm that can also be an interruption and attack multiple times. It's decent. It's not crazy, but I think it's worth of its spot. I think it's worthy. And then Dragite can be a negate because you put the Watering Graveyard, a Moyi. And then also you do play one Nib. I've never got the bounce effect with this to resolve in this deck yet, but one day I will. Scarlight for time, and then also to Synchro 8 that can like wipe the board. And then 2 of the Synchro, like the main Synchro. I think 2 is good. You don't need 3. I don't think 1's enough. And then Anaconda. This can come up when you get token collected a lot of the time. And then also if you get like hand trapped and stop turn 1, you can just like boom, Anaconda, summon out Enforcer, and then that gives you follow up through Celestial. Shen for the level manipulation with this, and also Long Young plus hand trap. Again, like the level manipulation of this just like is almost never how you're actually summoning the Shen and Yazi, but it does come up. You can also use this to like up the level of this by 1 and then like hand trap into like one of your better synchros. And then Enforcer obviously because you play in the Fusion Destiny. 1 Grand Duke. This card's decent. It's not crazy, but it can be good. It can be good. I think it's worth playing. It can also help you go for game just because of like how much attack this card can have and how much attack it can make your opponent lose. So I definitely think this card is worthy of its spot too. And then Ruddy Rose Dragon. This is how you beat Drytron a lot of the time. You'll hand trap him, and then you just summon Ruddy Rose, and your opponent just the whole graveyard gets banished, and the opponent's like, oh, that happened. That sucks. And then you can use like your Ruddy Rose and this to go into Anaconda and Hero, like depending on the situation. Then this card also has a second effect that everyone needs to like remember that can protect your stuff from destruction. And then 1 Floor. I was playing 2 of this, but I ended up changing it back down to 1 just because I wanted to keep the Shen in deck because the Long Young plus hand trap was coming. It came up like twice right when I changed it, and I was like, it does come up, and the second Floor doesn't really come up, so I put this back down to 1 for this. I think the 1 Shen comes up more than the second one of this. But this card's insane. You also want to remember that you can use this card to summon any level 9 or lower monster from the graveyard, right? So you can summon back out your Synchros. You can summon back out your Enforcer, which is insane. People don't think about that, but it's like you can summon this and they'll like activate something, you negate it, you use your 1 negate, and they're like, oh, I forced out their negate. And then during their standby phase, you're like, cool, tag out into Enforcer, and they're like, wow, didn't think about that. It's so good. Like, people just don't think about that kind of thing, but I think it's so good. Like, that same scenario, I've seen so many people mess up, and I tell them about it, and they're like, wow, I didn't even know you could do that. Yeah, this is also during either player's standby phase. It's during the standby, not during your standby. Definitely something you should remember. But that is going to be it for the main deck. If you have any questions, you can comment it down below. Again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to post a 10E build. If I do, it might be a little while away until I can actually do that. But comment down below if you want that, so that way I should know if it's even worth like trying to like upload it. And let me know how you feel about this series. It's going to be, again, a 4-part series. I'm going to be uploading 1 part of it today, 1 tomorrow, 1 the next day, 1 the day after that. And if you like series like this, let me know. It's kind of going to be like my Flunder or my everything Flunder video, but instead of like in 1 video, it's just going to be spread out 1 day after 1 day after 1 day. So SwordSoul is going to be coming. And then after the SwordSoul one, I'm going to be doing the Dragon Link one that a lot of people have been asking for. It might be like the day right after the series is over, or it might be 2 days after. I'm not sure how I want to do that yet. I kind of want to see how the series does before I go ahead and like see if I want to spread it out or put it in 1 video like I did with the Flunder. But if you like this, let me know. Comment down below. Also, please use my affiliate links and my discount codes and buy my merch. All the money I make off of that goes directly back into the channel through giveaways. And I could have made this video like 3 weeks ago. Like, I had this stuff like set up 3 weeks ago. I mean, obviously the deck profile, all I gotta do is like take the deck profile and put it in like what my updated list is for this, the hero build. But I was gonna have a custom map made with this, but the person I was making the custom map was such a loser and just could never even finish it. And they were a week overdue, and they were like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they just came up with the worst excuses. So I was like, boom, cancel order. Screw you. You're trash. And, yeah, simple as that. I don't know. I'm going to stop complaining. You know, people always complain when I complain. But with that being said, the DB Grinder signing off. Peace. Have a nice day. Stay safe.